Okay.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Right.
What's the sound level like? Is it okay? Because
Yeah,
I've got my
good.
mic
No,
dangling.
no, it's good.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for the invitation, Michael. It's really appreciated because this is one of my passions. I'm a lifelong supporter of butterfly conservation. I'm a benefactor and I'm a volunteer at my local reserve. And what I want to do here, it should be very interesting in contrast to Julian's talk. I'm going to talk more about the butterfly and its incredible life history in relationship to another insect. And as I go through, I mean, the majority of these images, the reason I went down this route was because during lockdown, I was lockdown 1, as we now know it, I couldn't get out to do my night photography. So having the 100mm micro nickel, I thought, why not go back to my macro photography roots? Because my father and we used to breed butterflies back in the 70s, and we used to photograph every stage. So why not go back to that and document stuff in the garden? And as the regulations were relaxed, I was able to go back to the reserve. So our reserve is well known for this particular blue butterfly. It's the only stronghold of this butterfly in the Midlands. And I'm going to tell you a bit about the reserve. The reason I've left my name with FRAS was just, I mean, Michael's already mentioned this, but I just wanted to explain where I'm coming from here. And FRAS is Fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society, which I was elected to for my services to astrophotography. So I've been doing this sort of stuff for years. This is from my observatory at the bottom of the garden. I'm in South Cheshire, the Andromeda Galaxy, here, the M31. This is the one that's going to collide with us in several million years' time. So don't panic. It's all fine at the moment. And then I moved into doing this sort of stuff, what I call nightscape photography. So that's really where my expertise is. So the macro photography journey was rediscovering skills, and of course it's all changed since Dad and I used to do it with a camera beginning with C, I dare to say, and a pistol grip and a bellows. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't say it. I didn't say the word, Michael. It's okay. With a bellows lens and the BPM bellows unit, and skulk around the fields chasing butterflies. So if I talk to you a bit about Preseath Common Reserve, what this was, it's an old airfield. In World War I, it was a training ground for trench warfare. About 25,000 guys were trained there. World War II, it became an internment camp for many aliens, refugees, and later they did some bomber training from there. No active missions were run from there, it was just training. And then in 2006, Butterfly Conservation purchased 60 hectares in area. So there was a major problems with the area because it had been cultivated for many years with potatoes and fertilizer put on. Now, when you try and recreate a heather area, you need very acidic soil. The pH was through the roof. We were either faced with shipping out 1 meter deep of sand and soil over 60 hectares. Imagine how many lorries and where would you take it? So what we did, we were able to find one of only 2 1-meter plows in the country, and we plowed the area to try and get the chemical balance right. The problem was we kept hitting concrete and would break the plow, and then we'd have to wait for the other one to come and then that one repaired. So it was a big project. Basically, we're trying to regenerate the land, but in the end it became a recreation. The soil was in such a state. So, and we've currently got 20,000 plug plants to plant out. We've been stopped because of COVID, obviously, but we'll be going to do that 20,000 more on the 9th of December. So a lot of it has been planted by hand. Now this shows you the area. If you know Shropshire at all, up here is a place called Whitchurch, and this is the main road that goes down to Shrewsbury. This A41 here is the main road that goes down to Wolverhampton Way, and that is the area of the land that we work on. If I just go back, you can still see the old runway, 3 of them, different angles running across from Google Earth. And we've purchased this, which is known as Priestheath Common. Whoops. So what we've done, we've sort of ploughed a lot of this up, and we've kept the old control tower at the top end here, and we've not blocked the windows up. We've left 2-inch strips at the top for bats to go in and butterflies to go in to roost. So the majority of this area now here is heathland. Over here we created a pond and a meadow habitat, and up at the top end here we have a lot of mature oak trees. So if we look at this diminutive butterfly, its wingspan is between 26 and 32 millimeters. So it's not a huge thing. So, you know, it's a beautiful little butterfly. It operates in a single brood. That means there's one generation in the year. The eggs would be laid in July. So the adults merge normally in June. This year, everything was early. So it was in middle of May, they were coming out. And the larva then develops inside the egg that's been laid in July and overwinters in the egg, fully grown, on the heather. And I've been down the last few weeks trying to find these eggs, so you can imagine it's needle in a haystack isn't in the phrase. But I'll find one, and then we can complete the set of photographs. In the end of February, early March, in the year after, the larva emerges. Now, it's an amazing larva, really. It's a very small grub-like thing. You'd probably think it was just a maggot. But what it does, it has 4 instars, or 4 stages in its development. And during each stage, it develops glands that secrete very interesting chemicals which attract ants, but only one specific species of ant, the black ant, called Lasius niger. And what happens then is the larva falls off the heather onto the ground. The ants then come to it and they believe it's an ant grub. So they take it into the ant's nest, and then they effectively milk it, and it eats whatever it can find in the nest. It then pupates in the ant's nest, and so it has the protection of the ant's nest. And when it emerges, this is the really important bit as well, the ants are in attendance with it. So they're still protecting it when it's emerging as an adult, walking out of the nest, up the heather to inflate its wings. And you'll see later on that some photographs of this. It's a truly magical moment. There's some magical moments in my life. One was seeing Saturn's rings for the first time through a telescope, and seeing this happen, a butterfly emerging with ants on it this summer, was 2020 for me. So we get the emergence of the adults in June, and then these typically fly until the end of July. So it's an incredible life story. Now, this is the silver-studded blue male, and it's called the silver-studded blue because of these very small patches on the hind wings with studs on. Silver studs, looks almost like a peacock. In fact, when you look at the Latin name, if there's any Greek scholars out there who will know the story of Zeus and Hera, Argos was or whatever you want to call it, deity or person with 1,000 eyes, and he was employed by Hera to keep an eye on Zeus. And what happened was he was seduced, and then they cut his head off. And what Hera did, she kept 2 of the eyes and put them onto peacock wings as a memory. So that looks, and I know I'm probably got that completely wrong, to Mr. Greek man there, but I think that's roughly the story. So when it was named back in whenever, these areas here very much look like the eyes of on a peacock wing. So that's a male. That's a male roosting at night, and this was photographed with the 850, the 100mm micro Nikon, the f2.8, the old one, the original one, and I used the Commander R1C1 with the flash around the edge with the diffusers on. So this was this was very much an evening shot.
It's a 105, Nigel. 105.
Yes, the 105. Yes, sorry, not the 60. The 105.
Yeah,
yes,
105, yeah.
It's a VR. And what I do at night, I just leave it on the 60th or a 125 and try and, to photograph this. I'm essentially lying in the heather to do this, to get my focal plane parallel with, or orthogonal with, the wings of the butterfly itself. Now here's a group of them roosting in the evening. You would think they'd disappear and hide out the way, but they're like little flags. So once you get your eye in, they're very easy to spot. And this is as the sun was going down. We've got a group of 4, all males, roosting here in the evening. On the left here, we have three males roosting, and this is a female. You notice how the female's got a brown tinge underneath. So that's where we can spot, certainly when they're roosting, the males are essentially blue in colour and the females have a brown tint. This is a little panoramic shot I did to try and capture the idea of them roosting in the heather. Again, you can tell it's a flash shot because it's quite bright with a black background. Here we have a couple of males roosting, again, with the flash setup and the macro Nikon. And this was an early morning shot with the dew on them, three males with dew drops. Quite a nice drop on the antenna of this male. And of course, one night I was lucky enough to find one. The sun was going down, and lay in the heather for a good while to try and get a shot against the sun. It's not perfect, but I'm learning how to do this. Don't forget, I'm a night photographer, so daylight's a bit of a strange world for me at the moment. But it works. It came out okay. Right. So what we did, if we just go back to this shot here, when I was trying to photograph them emerging with the ants on, I decided it was the idea would be it would be early morning, less risk, it's cooler, the wings will inflate quicker. So for about a week and a half, I was down at the reserve at 5 a.m. every morning. Very much like you do with bird photography, you keep going, you keep going, you keep trying. And on one morning, I was lucky enough to witness this effect here. This is a male that's emerged, and you can see the ants here in attendance, where they're actually these droplets that are on it. When the butterflies emerge, the chemicals and the secretions from the pupal state, the ants essentially drink and harvest. You see, there's another one coming up here. I think he's got a bit confused. He's on the wrong stem of heather. And more shots. You can see that in the end, the butterfly virtually gets covered in the ants, and you can tell this is a flash shot. We've got a bit of shadow on there. This is a natural light shot of a male that had just emerged, and I actually, looking back now, very much like Julian says, it's a journey of learning. I think I might try and dispense with the flash, because I think it gives the natural light gives a much better color of this wing, and it gives more texture. So it's very much a learning process.
Or maybe just reduce the amount of flash, just reduce it to just a hint. possibly.
Yeah, that's something I've been playing with.
Yeah.
I know there's an awful lot of settings on that commander system. I'm probably not using it properly yet, I'll be honest. It's new to me. It's one of these things I bought years ago, very cheaply.
Still,
And
on a picture like this, it's beautifully lit. You know, you can't tell that the flash was used. So if you balance the two, it works really, really well.
yeah, well, this
Yeah.
one here, Michael, is
Yes.
natural light at a
It's
high
natural.
ISO.
Right.
And then you can see the difference. It goes, the whites
Yeah.
become,
Yeah.
I know it's not right. It's,
Yes. Yes.
um,
It's the daylight balance, isn't it?
yeah, it is,
Yeah.
Michael. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. And it's very much a learning process. And hopefully maybe you guys tonight can give me some feedback and I can go away and try some things, you know. And then this is a little video that was taken to give you, it's handheld, so it's a bit wobbly.
What is the scientific term, Nigel, for when two different kinds of species help each other? Well, there is a
It's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah,
symbiosis. Yes, that's right.
symbiosis,
I
yes.
should have known because it's a Greek word.
Absolutely, it's your world.
Yes, symbiotic. Yeah, fascinating.
It is,
Well,
isn't it?
fascinating.
It's amazing that, and to witness it, as you can imagine, I'm in a world of, I don't know, a few inches square in 60 hectares. You imagine the probabilities of trying to find one emerging with, but it's like everything. It's the same with night photography. You serve your apprenticeship, you get the reward. You know, it's one of those.
What advantage accrues to the butterfly from the ants doing that?
Effectively, it gets protection. It gets protection at the larval stage, and it gets protection at the pupal stage.
Protection from what?
Any predators. Normally, you see a larva would, well, from birds probably, it would be eating on the heather, but instead it drops off and it goes into the nest of the ant. So it's inside the nest, a little ant hill. It will be inside. And then the pupal stage, yeah.
So the ant protects the larva, and then
effectively, yeah.
And then when the butterfly emerges, it's just drinking off these drops.
The chemicals, yeah. The ants are just drinking the chemicals and the sugars and whatever else is in there. Maybe it's still emitting this like honeydew stuff that ants love. And
so
then
that's a benefit to the ant at that stage, but not necessarily to the butterfly at that stage.
No. I mean, while it's emerging, while it's inflating its wings, it's the most vulnerable stage for a butterfly. Now, a group of ants certainly isn't going to stop a bird pecking it, obviously. So I think the protection for the butterfly is not for the adult, it's for the larval stage and the pupal stage.
Yeah, I understand that.
But then the problem, of course, is it only exists with black ants, the Lasius niger. And the problem I had, I was going round identifying anthills, and of course, in the first few days, I got the wrong ant. It was only when I finally saw one, quite by accident, walking, I thought, these ants are much smaller. And then when you do your research, it's actually the small black ant. So, yeah. So if we look at the sexes, this is the male. So typically, upper side is normally blue, and the female has more brown. Sometimes orange bits here, and sometimes totally brown. So you've got these two females here. You'd almost think they were different species of butterfly, but they're just the female version of silver-studded blue. And then in the mating, I started to witness the mating procedure of them, and I thought I need to photograph this. Now, this was very much trial and error. This shot, what I came up with was I knew I need a very, very short shutter speed. So this shot would probably be about a 5,000th of a second. And to get any sort of depth of field, I cranked the ISO up to about 3,200 on the 850. So the aperture would be about f7 to f11. And basically just put it on the fastest shutter speed, fastest frame rate I could. Got myself in position, focused on, say, the plant here with the female, and then when the male came into shot, just press the shutter, and I'd probably get 20 or 30 shots, maybe no good whatsoever. But now and again, out of maybe 100 shots, I'd get one decent one. So quite pleased with this one, because it's almost that point where the male spots the female, and I quite like it. There's a bit of lighting on the female here, and she actually vibrates her wings, which has come out in the shot as well. So, and that was in Rose Bay Willow Herb, big bank of Rose Bay Willow Herb, where I sort of shuffled myself into the middle of it. And sometimes we have one female and several males after her. So you've got one up here just coming in, this other guy coming from below. And I do love this shape here. It's a beauty. It's like Julian was saying with birds in flight, butterflies in flight can be amazing as well. And here we have very interesting where they come together and they touch each other's wings with their antenna. They bend these over. And over on the right here, we've got, again, a female with a couple of males. One just sort of flying in, one's just landed. And I do particularly like this as well. They taste each other as well with the proboscis. So what they'll do, this male landed with this female, and they touched antenna, and they had the proboscis out, and were sort of, I don't know, just tasting each other, and seeing if he's right for her, she's right for him, and part of the mating ritual, as it were. And this is a nice one as well. I watched these two for ages, because sometimes I think it's just nice to forget the camera and be in the moment. You know, that popular phrase now. And these two actually rotated around this leaf a few times, and I managed to get one shot where I think it's quite a nice Y shape with the two of them. They actually went round and round this leaf together. It was a beautiful dance. And now Julian was saying about birds, they stay for a few minutes or a few hours. Well, these butterflies, it's seconds, it's less than seconds. You know, you've just got to get in there, press the shutter, and then check what you've got. You can imagine there's an awful lot of images where something's not right. The focus is the main issue. I've not worked out yet how to get the focus within the 850 to track a flying butterfly. I think it's just too fast for the focusing system, but maybe somebody here today or somebody in Nikon could help me with that. And I do like this one as well, where the sort of the two lovers framed with the Rose Bay Willow Herb. It's quite a nice shot. We have the nice bit of backlighting on the male here on the left, and the female over here on the right. Come out quite nice. It's a bit grainy because the shutter, the ISO was right up 3200, but I'm quite pleased with that one. Another shot of them in the mating procedure. You see the proboscis is out here. The female's got the proboscis right out to taste this the male as it comes closer, as he comes closer. Again on Rose Bay Willow Herb. And these would be natural light shots in the day in full sunshine. And it was very hot, as you can imagine, because we had that glorious sunny period in lockdown 1. And what I've done here, I've put together a sequence of shots, composite them together to give us an idea of the flight path of this male as he comes in. And that's on the highest frame rate on the 850, and the female's down here at the bottom. She's sort of waiting, busy feeding actually on this flower. She's probably not that interested, so I think he probably flew down and flew straight out the frame again. And if it all goes well, she's happy with him and he's happy with her, then we get a coupling, and this goes on for many hours actually. You think it'd be brief because they're vulnerable at this point, but I've seen it for hours. They couple together for several hours, and this is quite a nice one as well, where they were in the heather again with natural light, female here, male below. But it's not all plain sailing for them, because sometimes we find this sort of thing. The spiders set up construct nests in the flight paths, and this is two silver-studded blues, probably a third one there that's been captured and eaten. So, but it's really a beautiful experience, and I feel like I've had a relationship with this butterfly this year. And I think that sort of experience is actually priceless in these times. So that's the end of it. What I've got to say so far, Michael. Has he gone?
No, I'm here, and it's fascinating. I think it's a wonderful story, and